Right. Hello everybody and welcome to Thursday in our little mini Gloucestershire Real Nappy week. So, Thursday, that fit. Getting that fit right is the absolute key thing to using cloth nappies happily and successfully. So, I have here today as my helper, Scary Baby, as it is known throughout Gloucestershire. Except to my 10-year-old who seems to have decided to adopt it and name it Izzy. But, you know, what can I say? So, I have here my baby as a demo. I have 3 different types of nappies. So, putting a cloth nappy on a baby is slightly different than putting a disposable nappy on. So, first of all, on your cloth nappy can either be fixed with Velcro or with poppers, press studs. I'm going to show you both. Most cloth nappies are birth to potty. So they have these rows of poppers on the front, whether they're Velcro or popper fit around the waist. They have these rows of poppers on the front to make it the right height for your baby. Now, this isn't really to do with height. It's the nappy height. It's not your baby's height. I had a very, very tall, thin first baby, and he didn't go straight into bigger sizes of nappy because even though he was £9.3, he was very, very long and had quite slender legs. Now, getting this size right is far more about what I like to call thigh squidge than it is about anything to do with the height or necessarily the weight of your baby. It's about how chunky they are around here. This is where a nappy has to fit well to not leak. So, always start on the smallest size you can. You're going to make it bigger later as they grow. And then, funnily enough, you might end up making it smaller again because a lot of children, as they grow, will get really, really chunky around the thighs as they get bigger. And then as soon as they get up and mobile and they start crawling and then running around the place, their thighs slim right down again. So it's not unusual to have a 15 or an 18-month-old on the biggest size of nappy pulled right up out onto the biggest size and be thinking, oh my gosh, these are never going to fit until potty training. And then 3 months after that, you're getting leaks because they've actually slimmed right down in the thigh from being mobile. Babies from when they're toddlers to when they're about 4, they don't seem to go out anymore. They just seem to go up and up and up and up, and that's like they stretch. So you might find that you then have to go back down again to the middle rise to get a good fit round the leg. So it's something that is far more to do with the shape and size of their legs than it is the shape and size of any of the rest of them. And it's every single baby is individual and all nappies fit in a very slightly different way. So this is something that you just have to tweak to get right for you. So I've got here one of our Tots Bots all-in-ones from our voucher packs. When you put a cloth nappy on, first of all, I wouldn't do it with the baby standing up like this, but I'm doing it upright so that you can see where I'm putting this nappy. When I put the nappy underneath the baby's bum, I'm not putting it up here in the middle of the back. I'm not putting it sort of where the waist of their clothes would sit. I'm putting it quite down low, almost, and my baby doesn't have one here, but almost as though they had a builder's bum, right at the top of the bum crease, quite low down on their body, because you want this elastic along the back to grip the chubby bit of your baby in order to get a good fit and a good seal around the back there. This back elastic is brilliant. It means you don't tend to get those poo explosions up the back of the baby grow if your baby does a big poo when they're in a car seat. And if you've ever had one of those with a child in a disposable and taken a baby in a white onesie out of a car seat and then looked at them and gone, oh, in horror of how on earth am I going to get this clean, you'll know what I'm talking about. So you want this low down on the bum, almost like a builder's bum. Then, when you bring the nappy up between their legs, you want to scrunch it together. You want to sort of fold the nappy in together like that. Push it together so it goes right in between their legs, in the creases around their legs. You do not want a nappy sitting round the chubby part of their thigh. It's not supposed to grip around the chubby bits. You will get red marks, you will get sore bits if you have it sitting round, pinching around the chubby bits. It's got to tuck right into the knicker line. Imagine a pair of Y-fronts, a pair of knickers, a Speedo swimming costume, something like that, where it sits right in the crease of your leg. That's where you're aiming for those nappy elastics to be. And this bit doesn't have to be totally flat. It doesn't have to be laid out flat. It can be scrunched up. The important point is that those elastics get into the right place. And then when you bring this up, you can see that even on this smallest setting, this is slightly too big for my little demo baby here, because it's probably going to be just below their belly button. It doesn't come up really high in the front either. It doesn't need to. So disposable nappies have all that sort of papery frill at the top, and they seem to come up almost to their chest in the little sizes. You do not need that in a cloth nappy. You don't want that. So low at the back, quite low at the front, tucked right in to their knicker line, to their creases, and then you bring the velcros around, the tabs around, whether it's velcros or poppers, and you get the right sort of fit for your baby. Now, important points. Babies, now I had 2 boys, and every time I changed to nappy for about 3 years, I'd be muttering to myself, point the willy downwards, point the willy downwards. That is important. You don't want boys pointing upwards, because then they might be out the top. But generally speaking, from babies, is going to go down. It's not going to come up. So this does not need to be a tight seal. You don't want it to be tight around their tummy. You don't want it to be falling down, but you want to be able to comfortably get a couple of fingers tucked in the front there. You can actually see, if I hold the baby this way, there's a little gap. You want to be able to get a few fingers down the front there for the comfort wriggle room, for when they have a feed and their tummy gets a little bit bigger, for when they roll about and they scrunch up and wriggle and move. You don't want them to be feeling like they're cut in half. It does not need to be pulled tight round the waist, and that's one thing that we see when people say, oh, I can't get this nappy to stop leaking, and they've yanked it. Then they say, I can't do it up any tighter. I've got it right round like this. And you think, your poor baby's being cut in half. You don't want to do that. Okay, there's no need, and it won't help you get a better fit, because that's not where it's going to leak. If it's going to leak, it's going to leak around here. 99 times out of 100, because the wee goes down. So you want to get a good fit around those legs. Now, I've just wriggled that into the wrong place while I've been adjusting it and showing you. So when you've put the nappy on, it can be worth running a finger around inside just to make sure that those elastics are sitting nicely in the leg crease, not pinching anything, nothing getting in the way. This fold, where I've got the nappy on the smallest size, so there's some of the material folded in there, you want it tucked upwards. So get your fingers in it and tuck it upwards like that. That will make sure it's all sitting nice and smooth, more comfortable for your baby, and more likely to get a good fit on it, and you won't get a leak because it's all sitting in the right direction and it makes a nice smooth snug fit around here. Now, I had an inquiry just now from a lady called Gemma. Gemma, you were saying that you have a problem with these sometimes, these tot spots ones, where they can roll in. Now, this depends on the shape of your baby's tummy and how much they do crunches, how much they're trying to sit up and things, but sometimes people do find that this elastic, this Velcro on the top edge just sort of tips in a little bit, and that sharp edge of the Velcro can just rub a tiny bit on baby's tummy and it looks a bit uncomfortable. A tip to avoid that is bring these tabs and sort of put them on more at a diagonal. Instead of putting them flat round, angle them like that so they're pointing downwards slightly. So doing that, you can see what I've done there, seems to help make that bit of Velcro behave. So try that tip, let me know if it works. It does work for most people. We've recommended it too. Now, if you were going to do the same with a popper nappy, so this is a pocket nappy. I think this one might be a little lamb. Yes, it's a little lamb pocket. So it's got its boosters inside. Again, I've got it snapped to the smallest size. Same thing, I'm going to get it low down on the bum. I'm going to tuck it between the legs. I need my camera pointing down just slightly more there. Cut the top of my head off, but you'll see what I'm doing. Tucking it between the legs, coming around the tummy, and then you pull the tabs around. Now, on this one, on Lustham, you have 3 poppers to a side, 2 for the waist and 1 for the hip. Sometimes the 2 for the waist are like that, sometimes they're like that. It doesn't matter which way around there. And you have 1 slightly lower down for the leg to get the leg to fit. I have always found it easier to just start with the one that's furthest in, choose where I think is right, popper that one, popper 1 from the other side, and what I'm doing there, I'm looking at the middle row of poppers, of the rise poppers, to line up to tell me if I'm at the same place left to right, if I've come around the same way, because it can be so easy to accidentally get one further round than the other and end up with it wonky. Now, you can have one tighter than the other if you need a size in between, and it's just not quite tight enough as it is. You can do these unevenly. It's not going to hurt your baby, it's not going to cause any problems, but sort of start off with symmetry and adjust from there if you need to. So I do those ones up first, and then I'll check and sort of go, right, that's about the right amount of room at the top. So then I will do the next one, working out, do the other popper, and then do the hip popper and tuck that bit up and get the hip popper in a comfortable place. I always find that the easiest way of doing it, to get them snapped to the right position. And again, I'm just tucking those wings, that bit that's folded, upwards with my fingers, just making sure that the bits in there are all sitting nice and smooth and flat. We don't want any wrinkles that would make baby uncomfortable, and we don't want any wrinkles that might let out a leak, let out some wee. So there again, you can see a nice fit tucked in around the leg creases, quite nice and low at the bottom, almost filled the thumb, quite nice and low at the front, just below the little belly button, if you can see the sewn belly button on my demo baby. So that's a nice fit with that one. And I'm going to show you one more, because again, this was one Gemma had asked about, close parent pop-ins. Now, these have a double gusset. The bit I'm talking about tucking into the leg crease is this one, the inner one. You won't get the outer one tucked in as well. You'll never get both lots tucked into one little leg crease. So that might be where you're trying to tuck it in, Gemma, and it's not quite going. So that's just worth having a look at. Again, I've got this on the smallest size. Pop my baby in, do this one almost sitting up. Scrunch together in the front. Bring the velcros round. Nice fit. Now, it's a lot easier when you've got a baby laying down in front of you and you're looking at them rather than trying to look over their shoulder. So again, you've got a couple of fingers, 3 fingers down the front there. We've got this excess tucked upwards, nice and smooth, and sometimes on these ones you need to just have a little wriggle there of the wings just to get it nice and smooth and flat. You find that whichever nappies you use and you have in your stash, you get used to how to fit them. So the first couple of times you put them on, you feel like you're tugging and tucking and pulling and thinking, cool, this is really tricky to get all of this in the right place. And then within a couple of days of doing it, you could do it in your sleep in the dark, because you get plenty of practice changing nappies. So it's something you get good at really quickly. Again, nice and low at the back, tucked into leg creases, but looking at these with their double gussets, excuse me, baby. Looking at these with their double gussets, it's the inner gusset that is going to sit into the leg crease. The outer gusset gives it a bit more room and allows it to allows that inner one to get a good seal. But this is not going to touch the leg. This outer bit, you're never going to get 2 lots of gusset tucked into that leg crease. It's not possible, and it's not supposed to. It doesn't need to. So that may be where you've been having a little issue. So make sure it's pinched together in the middle. So tucked into the leg creases, scrunch around like that. Now, hopefully, that will help everybody understand how to fit them. If you've got any questions, please do get in touch with us. We are always happy to have a look at a picture of a nappy-only baby and see if we think there's a problem. We're happy to have a Zoom call with you where you can show us what you're doing, and we can say, well, you're nearly right, but I can just see that you're doing this. Because 99% of the time, a tiny little tweak on how you put the nappy on will fix all of your issues with a leak here or an uncomfortable bit there or a little rub or something. So it's amazing how just a tiny little tweak to how you put it on can get a really perfect fit. And cloth nappies are a lot more adjustable than disposables. So you almost always can get a good fit on any baby with any nappy. Now, there are 1 or 2 exceptions where some of the brands are extremely wide between the legs, things like Motherese. They're very, very wide between the legs, so you're going to struggle to get that on a tiny little sort of 7-pound baby because they are simply so wide. Not that you'll do them any harm. Having their legs in a big position out like this from a cloth nappy is actually really, really good hip placement for a baby. Paediatricians love it because if there's any chance of hip dysplasia, they would tell you to double nappy your baby, to put their hips in that position. It's really, really good for them developmentally. So you're never going to do them any harm with the bulk here, but it could be tricky for you to get them on if you've got one that's particularly wide and you've got a particularly slender baby. But generally speaking, you can make nearly any nappy fit nearly any child with a bit of tweaking. So I hope that's been helpful. As I say, if you have any issues, please get in touch. Please send us a message and we will get back to you as quick as we can. Happy cloth nappying, everybody. And yeah, Thursday is the day to get that fit. Bang on.